Good morning, football fans. That's right, it's Sunday, and that means another edition of Fourth and Funny. Let's get started. All right, guys, turkey's done. Hopefully you got all those leftovers either thrown out or ate up. But let's get into the four topics for the week of Week 14 in the NFL. Starting off on Thursday, we had a huge game between Dallas and Detroit. That was very important for both of their playoff hopes. Fortunately for me, my Detroit Lions found a way to scheme up those Dallas Cowboys and get the W at home on Thursday night, taking that one 44-30. Probably crucial that CeeDee Lamb went out of that game, unfortunately, with a concussion, had the Tua hand situation going. That didn't look good. Hopefully he'll be able to clear concussion protocol and be back out there for the Cowboys. Though that did significantly hurt the Cowboys' playoff chances, though I think statistically they're sitting at 9%. But we'll get into some percentages later in the program of playoff hopes, because the playoff picture is coming into a lot better focus now, and it is starting to look more like a scary photo than a happy one for some fans out there. But that Thursday night game with Dallas and Detroit was huge. Amon-Ra went out the week before with an ankle injury. There was a lot of speculation that he wouldn't play. Did come in and play and really performed. Gibbs had another great night. Missing some weapons and still finding a way to get it done. The Lions truly are gritty. Dallas, at this point, they need to wish upon a star if they're going to get into the playoffs and need a lot of help. Moving on to second down, guys. How about those Carolina Panthers? Wow. Took care of the Los Angeles Rams last weekend, and they seem to be surging in that division. They are right behind the Lions for a playoff spot in the NFC. Is this a resurgence of the Carolina Panthers that we could see them sneak into the playoffs this year? Man, At the start of the season, they looked like it was going to be another train wreck season, and they were going to have a lot more questions than answers going into the offseason. Though the last few weeks, they have really turned things around. I mean, like I said, they took care of the Rams, and Matthew Stafford picking him off twice, doubling his interception total on the season. After he went down and broke the consecutive touchdown record. Next two passes were like pick, I think, with a pick six in there, which Stafford is good for. I mean, as a longtime Lion, he threw some pick sixes. That was like on the bingo card every weekend. Is Matt going to throw a pick six? And it was more like when. But the Carolina Panthers, that's a sneaky team. They're coming into that division. They're definitely going to have to look at a wild card position unless the Buccaneers completely fall apart. They seem to be in control of that division. But Carolina, their defense has stepped up. Bryce Young seems to be playing a lot better, and they have a solid run game there in Carolina. So that seems to be helping them along. We'll see where they fall. If they just barely miss the playoffs, that's going to be a huge turnaround from where they were just a year ago. But this season, anything seems to be happening for most teams, except the few that, the New Orleans Saints, the New York Jets, those teams, nothing ever really happened for them. But Carolina seems to be that tricky little team that nobody really wants to play. They handled Detroit a few years ago, and it really cost us in the playoff seeding. So it seems like Carolina can be that spoiler playoff team this year if they don't get in. Speaking of season spoilers, here on Third Down, let's take a look at that. We've got some teams that can really play season spoilers coming down the stretch. Like I said, Carolina, if they don't get in, they could play season spoilers to some teams. They are We've got New Orleans taking on Tampa Bay. They've got nothing to play for, but Tampa Bay is still playing for that division win. So they could still go in there and take care of business and spoil the Tampa Bay Buccaneers season. You've also got teams like Arizona who could derail someone, though their chances of winning week to week continue to go down as they have ruled out Kyler Murray for the rest of the season, and it looks like Marvin Harrison Jr. will be out today as well. So as they limp to the finish line, I don't see them playing as much of a spoiler as some of these other teams. Miami down there playing YOLO ball with dead man Mike McDaniels walking could always spoil someone's season, or the Jets with nothing really but Aaron Glenn to play for left this year as well. These are teams that could just come in and spoil your season. Looking ahead to the Lions schedule, I don't know that there's many on there other than the Minnesota Vikings. We lost to them earlier. They could really throw a wrench in the Lions playoffs picture if they take us out in week 16. That could be really, really bad for our season spoilers. But that was third down. Let us know down in the comments, who do you think is going to be a season spoiler yet coming down the home stretch of the season? Playoffs. Let's talk fourth down. Playoffs, guys. Playoff percentages. Both conferences, everybody locked into the playoffs if they ended today, are at a 90% or more. There are very few teams with percentages above 80 that have an outside chance. Like the Dallas Cowboys, when they lost to the Lions, their playoff chance has now dropped to 9%. They have a long way to go. And like I said, they've got to wish upon a star, and not that Dallas star. They've got to wish upon a bunch of other people handling business so they have a chance. Now, they still have to take care of their own games in front of them. But there's a lot of other teams. Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Houston. These teams in the AFC are on the outside looking in. I still have an outside chance thought that Houston, with CJ Stroud coming back, can overtake that division. Indy is falling. Jacksonville is unstable. They're up and down. But Houston could sneak in there and still take that division. I think that they have a chance to make the playoffs. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, with an aging Aaron Rodgers and things going the way they are there, Darius Slay just asked for his release from the team this past week, and is unsure if he wants to still play football from what he told teams that wanted to pick him up. I think they missed the playoffs, and this may be a Mike Tomlin losing season. And Kansas City, we all know the lore and pageantry behind the Kansas City dynasty, but could they miss the playoffs this year? This is going to be one of those weird years where we're going to look at the playoffs when they start and go, wow, this happened? But over in the NFC, like I talked about with Dallas, Detroit also is kind of in the driver's seat, but they also still need a lot of help. They need to take care of business, at least against the Rams. That's the only mulligan game. If they do lose that game, they do need a lot more help. But taking care of the Rams would solidly put them in control of their own destiny with a big-time matchup to close out the game season on the road against Ben Johnson and the Bears in Chicago on my birthday. So we'll see how that plays out. But playoffs? We're talking about playoffs? Some of these teams are just trying to win a game. Let's see how the season ends up for them and if they make the playoffs or not. Let us know in the comments, guys. All right, let's get into the picks, my favorite part of the show. So far, I'm 88-50 on the week after a rough Thanksgiving schedule, guys. That was tough, but we're still sitting at 88-50 for the season, so still a nice winning record. Like I said last week, we're finishing up the byes this week. We've got 4 teams on the bye. We've got the Giants, the Patriots, the Panthers, and the Niners all getting the late bye. This will wrap up the byes. It'll be a full go until week 18. For all the teams. So we'll have a full slate of games to pick. So let's get into it. We've got Tennessee and Cleveland today. I like Cleveland in this game. Myles Garrett to continue to rack up those sacks, and that defense is going to handle things. Give me Cleveland. We've got Seattle going on the road to take on Atlanta. Give me Seattle in a get-right game to handle a Atlanta team that is really, really struggling with injuries and not meeting any of their expectations that they had for the season. Indy is coming off a rough loss against Houston, another divisional game where this one is really going to shape the playoff picture, and that's Indy and Jacksonville. I'd like to see Indy get right in this game. Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Taylor Warren, get that offense humming. Don't make Daniel Jones be on the move with that hairline fracture in his leg still healing. So give me Indy in that one. Good news for Washington. Jaden Daniels was practicing this week, though it's not expected for him to start this week, maybe next week. Washington and Minnesota. Give me Washington in this one. And then we have Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals taking on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. This is would be a premier game had it been last season. Both these teams are struggling. The Bills currently out of the playoff picture or holding that last playoff spot in the AFC, and Cincinnati scratching and clawing with the return of Joe Burrow to grab every opportunity they can to get into the playoff conversation. But is it going to be too little, too late for them? Give me the Bills and the reigning MVP, Josh Allen, in this one. New Orleans and Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay takes care of business. They know what they're doing. Baker is still a little banged up, but I like Tampa Bay in this one. Another big divisional game here is Pittsburgh and Baltimore. This one is, again, there's a lot of playoff picture games happening this weekend. So Pittsburgh taking on Baltimore. Baltimore really needs to see if Lamar can handle it. Both quarterbacks seem to still be banged up. You know, Aaron's got the immobilizer on his wrist, while there still seems to be a lingering hamstring with Lamar. But I think that Baltimore's defense is going to prevail in this one. Give me Baltimore. Then we got a YOLO game, Miami and the Jets. Give me Aaron Glenn and the Jets just because. Denver is going into Raider Nation in Vegas. Can they keep their winning streak alive? This is another one of those teams that could play season spoilers. While Denver seems to be firmly holding that top spot in the AFC West, the Raiders could play season spoiler and snap that streak, giving them a breath of reality before the playoffs start. But give me Denver and Bo Nix to roll into Vegas and take care of the Raiders. We got the Rams and the Cardinals. We talked about how the Cardinals could be a season spoiler, and I'm here to admit when I'm wrong. I had them picked to win the NFC West at the start of the season, and I was wrong, dead wrong. Kyler Murray out, Marvin Harrison Jr. out, searching for their identity. Coach may be out by the end of the season. That's maybe an early prediction, but give me the Rams and Matthew Stafford to get this one back on track and headed in the right direction. Then we've got a big matchup for me as a Lions fan, the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers. Both these teams suck. I hate both of them, but Green Bay, I need to win to bring Chicago back down to the rest of the pack. At this point, my Lions need the Packers to win the division to get in, and unfortunately, I'll have to pick them the rest of the way. So give me the Packers over the Bears. Then in Sunday Night Football, we've got Houston taking on Kansas City. This is going to be a fun one. It's also another playoff picture-shaping game. If Kansas City happens to lose this game, they are really taking a shot at the playoffs out of their future. And Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift may just be able to plan that wedding early. Give me Houston. Houston has one of the toughest defenses in the league. I think Houston and Philly, those front lines are just intense, and they get after the quarterback. They may not have the sack numbers, but the pressures and the way they scheme up. And if they're not getting there, their hands are up. That defense is rough, guys. I'm telling you. Watched it last year in Houston in person, and it's rough. And they've added some pieces this year as well. But I like Houston, the younger Houston team, to take over Kansas City and win this game. And then Monday night, we have Philly taking on the Chargers. The Chargers are banged up. Herbert doing his thing, but he's not had the year that everyone expected him to have. And Philadelphia, Sirianni has said that he was more involved with the offensive scheming for this week, so let's see if that gets them humming a little more. But give me Philadelphia over the Chargers in this one. And that's been the picks, guys. Let's recap it. We've got Cleveland, Seattle, Indy, Washington, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Baltimore, the Jets, Denver, Rams, Green Bay, Houston, and the Eagles. All right, guys, that's been the picks. Tune in next week and see how I did. We'll see you then.